Hey guys, this is a video for those of you taking English Bootcamp. I'm going to start with week 1. Some of you have already done that, so feel free to skip this video. Or if you want some extra review, go ahead and listen to it. So I'm going to go through it rule by rule. And if you want to, you might want to pause the video, work on that section, and then start the video again. Or you might want to watch the whole thing and then do the assignment. It's up to you. But yeah, feel free to stop at any time. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Here we go. Okay. So this week we're going over punctuation, grammar, and eventually we'll get to paragraph writing. All right, let's go to the next one. So there are 4 types of sentences. This is a declarative sentence. It tells you something, it tells a fact, and that we always end with a period. An interrogative sentence is a question. So could this be an interrogative sentence? You end it with a question mark. An imperative sentence is when you're telling someone what to do. Go do the laundry. Always end imperative sentences with periods, right? So that one you're going to end with a period as well. And then the 4th type of sentence is an exclamatory sentence. So, and that's when you're exclaiming something, you're saying something with emphasis or excitement, and you're going to end that with an exclamation mark. So again, you don't need to know the names of those sentences, but you do need to know when you're going to end a sentence with a period, with a question mark, or an exclamation mark. And I know that sounds simple, but when we're not used to writing academically, sometimes we forget. And I do see students who will forget to put periods and just sort of keep going, right? So whenever you have a complete thought, you have to end the sentence. If you're telling a fact, you end it with a period. If you're telling someone what to do, you end it with a period. If you're asking a question, you end it with a question mark. And if you're exclaiming something, if you're saying something with lots of emphasis, you add it with an exclamation. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger for you guys. There we go. Okay, so let's see if we can end each of these sentences correctly. Mindy is a good teacher. I think that one is telling us something. We're going to end it with a period. Is Mindy a good teacher? That one's a question. So we're going to end it with a question mark. Mindy is an excellent teacher. That one is declarative, so exclamatory. We'll end that one with an exclamation mark. And then this one, Mindy, teach me how to do long division. You're telling me what to do, so that one is a period. All right, so that's rule 1. If you guys want to, you can stop here and do your first assignment, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is compound sentences. So that's when you take 2 thoughts that might be 2 different sentences, 2 simple thoughts, and join them into one sentence. So here's an example. There was a bear. I felt scared. Right now, those are 2 sentences, but I'm going to join them together into one sentence. So I need a special type of word called a conjunction. So words like and, but, so, yet, because, those are all joining words that join 2 simple sentences together into a compound sentence. So a sentence that has 2 different thoughts. So in this example, we say, there was a bear and I felt scared. And usually we're going to add a comma right before our connecting word. So there was a bear, comma, and I felt scared. Let's look at this one. It began to rain. We went on our field trip anyway. That one, you see there's sort of this contrast in those 2 ideas. So instead of the word and, we're going to use the word but. It began to rain, but we went on our field trip anyway. And again, notice we have the comma and then we have the connecting word, okay? Here's the next one. I have been studying the spelling words every night. I expect to get a good grade on the test. This one is sort of like a cause and effect, right? So I've been studying the spelling words every night. Therefore, or so, I expect to get a good grade on the test. Another one we can use is since. Since I have been studying the spelling words every night, I expect to get a good grade on the test. So there's lots of different ways we could join those two together. Another one could be because I have been studying the spelling words every night, I expect to get a good grade on the test. So any connecting word that joins two thoughts together brings it into a compound sentence. Okay? Here's a list of some fun connecting words. If you want to get fancy, it can really improve your writing. Instead of just using and or but, you can use things like after, although, as if, as long as much as soon as though, because, before, even if, even though, how, if, in as much as, in order that, lest, now that, provided, since, so that, than, that, though, till, unless, until, when, whenever, where, wherever, while. So as you can see, there's so many choices. The English language has a lot of great words, but it's okay too if you just want to stick to the simple ones for now. So why don't you go ahead and try that next page on connecting words and building compound sentences. So we take two simple sentences, get a connecting word, and put them together. And don't forget that comma that comes before the connecting word in most cases. Okay, so again, you can pause and do that assignment. The next rule we're going to talk about is nouns. So different types of words have different names. So a noun is a person, place, or thing. So some examples of nouns would be computer, bank, cayuket, Mindy, bird, dog, train, ocean, right? A person, a place, or a thing. So we can divide nouns into two different types of nouns. Some are common nouns, which could be any person, any place, thing, or idea. Okay, so we're not talking about a specific one, just anyone, like the river, you know, relative, country, boat, freedom. So those are called common nouns because we're not talking about a specific one, okay? The other type of noun is a proper noun, and that's the name for specific people, places, or things. So Elton John, New Zealand, the Bill of Rights. So it could be the name of a book, could be the name of a motel, it could be your name, it could be the name of a river. You know, if I'm just talking about going to the river, I'm not going to put a capital letter. But if I'm talking about going to the Clinic River, oh, I gave a specific name, so I have to capitalize it. All right, and that's why we need to know the difference, because if it's a common noun, we do not start with a capital letter. But if it's a proper noun, we do start with a capital letter. Okay? So let's look at this. Are these common nouns or proper nouns? Dr. Jones. Well, that's the name of a specific person. That's going to be a proper noun. Sandra. Again, that's the name of a specific person. That's a proper noun. City. Well, I don't know what city it is. I didn't give the name of the city. So that's just a common noun. Cayuket. Well, that's a specific place or a specific people. So I am going to use a capital letter for that one. Okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is whether nouns are singular, whether there's just one, or plural, whether there's more than one. So a singular noun is one person, one place, or one thing, like the word runner, city, mouse. Plural nouns are when there are more than one person, place, or thing. So example would be runners, cities, mice. Usually a plural noun has an S at the end, right? Unless it's a special word like mice, where it has a funny way of making it plural. But if it's more than one, it's plural. So if you guys go and try your next assignment, you have to circle whether the word is a proper noun or a common noun, and whether it's singular or plural. So in this example, runners, I don't know who the runners are. I didn't name the runners. That's a common noun, and it's plural because it has an S at the end, runners. So you can go ahead and try that next assignment. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is possessives. So possessive means to possess, to own something, right? It shows ownership. So possessive nouns need an apostrophe and an S to show ownership. So for example, I'm going to say the dog's bone. I'm not going to write D-O-G-S without the apostrophe because then I'm talking about more than one dog. So that's how you can tell the difference, okay? So if I'm talking about who the bone belongs to, it belongs to the dog's bone, then I need apostrophe, that little floating hook thing, S, apostrophe S. Now, there's a lot of you know that rule already, but there's another rule that's a little trickier that not everyone knows and isn't even always taught in school. And that's if there's something that's already plural, so that there's already something that has an S at the end, and you want to make it possessive, you actually just add an apostrophe, not an apostrophe S. So for example, the girls' clubhouse, it doesn't belong to just one girl, it belongs to all the girls together. And it already has an S at the end. So I'm going to add an apostrophe after the S. And that's quite a tricky rule. And this one is probably the most specialized rule of all the ones we're talking about today. So don't worry if it's feeling a little tricky. So let's look here. Those boys are always fighting. Now, am I going to use B-O-Y-S or B-O-Y-S apostrophe? Let's see, does anything belong to the boys in this sentence? Those boys are always fighting? I don't think so. Let's look at the next one. The boys' shoes were left behind in the change room. Well, does anything belong to the boys in this case? Yes, the shoes do. So I'm going to put the one with the apostrophe at the bottom. Those boys are always fighting, and the boys' shoes were left in the change room. When we say it, we hear no difference, which is why it becomes tricky to write it correctly. But again, just think, does this belong to anyone? If yes, then you need an apostrophe. And again, you can pause here and attempt that assignment. And the last rule we're going over is verb tense. So a verb is an action word, like I sing, right? Or I'm dancing, or I'm running, or I'm thinking, an action word. Now the tense of a verb tells when the action occurred. Did it occur in the past, in the present, or will it occur in the future? So for example, if I use the verb walk, I could say I walked to the store yesterday. That's in the past tense. If I want to talk about right now, I can say I walk to the store now, or I'm walking to the store. If I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to use the future tense. I will walk to the school, or I'm going to walk to the school. And this usually comes to us really naturally. If English is your first language, then probably this won't be tricky for you. So in the present tense, the action is happening right now. Miko is practicing. In the past, the action has already happened. She played for her teacher yesterday. In the future, the action is going to happen. She will give a concert when she learns 3 more pieces. And then one trick that we don't always follow is when we're writing something, you want to stick to the same verb tense. So listen, I walk toward the hardware store, present tense. My heart is pounding, present tense. I reach down and feel for the gun at my hip, present tense. As I entered the store, I hear the bell jingle above my head. Now wait a minute, the word entered was in the past tense. Then I switched back to present. I pulled the balaclava over my eyes and called out, "Everybody down or I'll shoot." Now there's a lot of great things going on with this writing, but the verb tense is jumping around a little bit. So here I've outlined the verbs. We can see those EDs mean it's in the past, entered and pulled and called out. So we want to change them back into the present so that it's all the same. I walk toward the hardware store. My heart is pounding. I reach down and feel for the gun at my hip. As I enter the store, I hear the bell jingle above my head. I pull the balaclava over my eyes and call out, "Everybody down or I'll shoot." And I think that's pretty much it. So you guys can go ahead and try your week 1 English boot camp. I hope this was helpful.